Everyone, and thank you for joining EDGE's webinar today. Today's presentation is entitled i9AdvantEDGE, Paperless, Compliant, Easy. My name is Meredith, and I'll be your moderator today. Your presenter will be Terry Madden, and Terry is the Director of Business Development with i9AdvantEDGE, and he's also one of the creators of the system. Today's webinar will give you a general overview and understanding of how i9AdvantEDGE works, while also demonstrating how it can serve as a single-source online solution for your company. Also, with EDGE's integration as a web services agent with E-Verify, i9AdvantEDGE will allow you to submit information collected in the I-9 process online with real-time results returned quickly and directly from E-Verify. I just want to point out before we begin that we will be taking questions at the end of the webinar. If you have a question, you can just type it in the questions box in your GoToWebinar dashboard and then press send. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Terry, if you're ready, I'll give the controls over to you.
I am ready.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Meredith. I appreciate that. And hopefully everyone's looking at the, let's see, the I-9 training site. So the site that you're looking at now is a training site that's available to you if you sign up with our system. And the nice thing about that is it mimics the production site, and it's hooked to E-Verify's test site. So we can put cases in like you're going to see today, get real-time results back, so you can kind of see how we interact with the Department of Homeland Security and the Social Security Administration, and see how the results come back. So as a general overview of the I-9 process, you may or may not be looking at different I-9 systems, but basically the I-9 has three components to the overall view. The I-9 paper I-9 itself, you can complete the I-9 by paper and track it yourself, maybe build tracking systems, things like that. And usually there's no, you have to depend on yourself for compliance and audits and things like that. Then there's the E-Verify system out there. That's like a government system built by the government for the government, not necessarily built for the employer. It does give the employer information. However, you have to take the information off the I-9 form, put it into the E-Verify system. So it's a separate system. You're going back and forth. And then the third component would be reporting. So once you have this information, wherever it is, in spreadsheets or whatever, how do you compile the information and be able to report back? In other words, take a look at some of the information that you put together for the I-9 and see if you are in a compliant area. Well, what our system does is combine all of those things. In our system, you can complete the I-9 several different ways. It's designed to match the way you complete I-9s now. So you really don't have to change your processes. I mean, once you see the system, you may want to, but you don't have to. If you prefer to do paper I-9s and get them in the system later, that's fine. E-Verify them, that's fine. You don't have to do E-Verify. We don't charge anything extra for E-Verify. You have control whether to turn it on or off. You can turn it on by location or all of your company or your whole company. Whatever you decide to do, our system will support it. So the system's been around a long time, since 2007, and we've been a web service agent for E-Verify since then. I think when we first started version 2, we're now at version 22. But what happens is once we put the information into the system, if you choose to go to E-Verify, the system will automatically send the information that you completed the I-9 form to E-Verify, and there's different results that you can get back. There's photo tool, there's tentative non-confirmations, there's employment authorized, of course, and then all along the way there are could be compliance issues that our system will alert you. Speaking of that, you're looking at the dashboard now. As I scroll down, you'll see that we have all these links. Now, in the training site, we leave a bunch of cases in here just so we can show everybody. But on the live site, you wouldn't want these links. They represent there's something else to do. if you have a clean dashboard or no links, these boxes don't show up if you don't have any cases in them. But they are important. The blue ones are, we're waiting on some information, maybe from the employee, such as work authorization expiring. So we're waiting on the employee to bring us some documentation so we can get it back in the system. When they do, we can simply click those links. The red links mean that there's something urgent needed from you, the employer. So these are audit issues. So if we don't clear these up, they could cause us problems in the audit. So that's why we make them red. And we also offer, everybody that's in the system can select to receive an email from us. Every Monday morning we would email you all the expiring work authorizations and all of the links in red so that you have something to do over in the I-9 system. Now, of course, which ones you get depends on how you log in. We have 3 levels of logins. We have a company administrator, which a company administrator, like I'm logged in right now at the top left-hand corner there. My name is Tim Company. So I'm a company administrator, so I can actually click this box here and drop down and pick a location. And if I wanted to do an I-9, I could do it right for that location in the location. Plus, I can see all the cases that are in that location. I'll have some additional reporting because I'm a company administrator. The next level is a location administrator. So think this location here, south location. I'll probably have a location administrator that would be responsible for the I-9s within that location. It's designed to meet auditing criteria. You can be audited by hiring location, so our system is designed to meet that. And then lastly, we have one more level called a standard user, and basically that is to allow someone to get in the system, and all they really need to do is complete an I-9 form. They don't need to follow up on reporting or anything like that. It's just someone that you want them to put I-9 forms in for you. Okay? Now, as I go back to, pardon me, all locations, the system is so flexible. Just that first box alone, section 1, there's 3 different options for companies getting section 1s completed ahead of time. You can email them. You can create a kiosk. You can complete section 1 while they're sitting there with you. There's a lot more details that go into that. So, since we're not able to interact here, probably what you should do if you need more details as we go through this, if you can talk to Meredith and just get a hold of Meredith, and we can do a customized demonstration for you, and make sure that make sure we show you everything that you would need in the system specifically. On the left-hand side here, or I'm sorry, on the right-hand side, we can, where it says search, we can actually search for any of the I-9 forms that are in the system. We can search by any of this criteria above, including a field called note, which I'll show you that when we do a form, but that's a personalized note that you can put in there like an employee number, and then you can search for your case with that information. So let's do a form. Let's just pick a location. And when I do pick a location, the big green button that says New Form I-9 is bright, allows me to click it and start the I-9 form. So what you're going to see first on the first screen, pardon me, instead of us showing you, well, I didn't click it. Here we go. Instead of us just showing you a big I-9 form, we're going to break it down into sections. And the sections just make it easier, number one, for the user. Instead of trying to remember what they have to fill in, we're going to ask questions, and we will actually change the next screen based on the answers that they give us. When we set up the company, we'll ask a lot of questions about how they want the forms to look at the end, and we'll build that in the back end. So the user, when they get in here, simply needs to answer these questions. The first one, is this a new hire? I will say yes. I will put a social security number in for the test system that I know is a good social security number. And I'll say next. Now this screen most of the time you won't see. 9 times out of 10 you won't see it. I see it every time in the demo site just because I use the same social over and over. But what's designed to do is we maintain a database of all the Social Security numbers you put in the system. If you key that Social Security number again, this is an alert screen, just simply a courtesy screen saying, look, you keyed this in before, and normally you would have one name. So you could take a look at the name and say, am I rehiring John Doe? If the answer is yes, then that's not a problem. At the bottom, we can just process a new form. However, if the answer is no, then I either keyed in the social wrong, or I've got a problem because I can't have 2 people with the same Social Security number. I can go over here and view John's summary file if I need to try to do some investigative work. We will process a new form. And traditionally what will happen, you will see this screen as your second screen, where it's asking, are you trying to do a paper I-9 form, or do you have a paper I-9 form, or are you trying to do a 100% electronic form? So there may be cases out there that you had to complete a paper form, now you're just trying to get it into the system and e-verify it. The system will allow you to do that simply by clicking paper form. Or there might be some existing I-9s you want to get in the system. In that first screen, you would have selected an existing employee and then paper form. But for today, we're going to do an electronic I-9, and you're going to see another Section 1 option pops up there, but we'll go ahead and continue. Then the system starts asking me for Section 1 information. So I simply start typing in that information. And I will tell you too that if I hit continue right now, the validation in the system will let me know that there's a lot of additional information that I need, and it won't let me continue until I put that information in. So that helps when we're trying to make sure that we have a complete I-9 form, because blank fields can cause fines during an audit, and we don't want those. So we try to build as much as we can in here, such as if I put 6 digits here, even formatting, we try to figure out formatting and let you know if it's not correct, so you don't accidentally put in the wrong thing. And then at the bottom, depending on what I select as a citizenship status, a couple things happen here. One, if the system needs additional information, you can see that it's asking me for that information. Actually, it's requiring that information. Won't let me go ahead. Number 2 is when we get to Section 2, I'll show you that we also modify the acceptable documentation based on the citizenship status. So we'll do lawful permanent resident, ask for an alien A number, and these little circles here are just additional information, help screens, if you will, in case you have questions about how many digits or anything like that. We could do a non-citizen national. I'll do a U.S. citizen for this one. When I hit next, we have the click to sign signature, electronic signature for the I-9 form. So this is e-Signature Act compliant. That was a specific act that allowed electronic signatures on the I-9 form. And one of those ways is click to sign, what you're seeing here. So it is perfectly legal to either have Elaine look at this information, read through it, even the bottom part, and click to sign the form, or if that's not convenient, the employer can actually read this information back to Elaine, and then everything in the box below, it's basically asking her, is everything correct, and may I click to represent your signature. Once we accept that and continue, the form would be electronically signed. Next we have the prepare. Since it's an electronic system, we don't know if Elaine keyed that in or you did. So we will automatically put in the preparer signature just in case. And it automatically pulls my information based on my login, Tim Company. If we need a translator, this is changeable, and either one can attest to this information. So electronically sign the prepare portion. Which brings us to Section 2. And in Section 2, like I told you, when I drop down the documentation box in the beginning where it says it's going to be an A or B document, you can see that under List A we only have one item. That's a U.S. passport or passport card. There are other items in List A. However, for a U.S. citizen, they can only present a U.S. passport or passport card as a List A item. They may have other items. That would be for other citizenship statuses. So we modify it so that we try to help you select the right documents as best as possible. Now, if I leave it on A, if I select the passport, you can see that I cannot put a C or B document in. The system won't allow me. That's to prevent over-documentation. If I select the B document, C will automatically drop down here, and it's now actually required. If I try to continue, you'll see the system is now requiring the C document. So that prevents under-documentation. For this purpose, I will do a U.S. passport, which is now issued by DHS. And I will put a number in here that they have given me and the expiration date of. So the rest of this is pre-populated. It's all my information and a start date. However, obviously this is changeable, and if I would select an earlier date, you can see that the system says, okay, that's past 3 days. So we're going to have to send E-Verify a reason why. So this is great for you. I mean, you maintain this in your audit log, so this would be presented if you needed it. And we're sending this off. If you choose to use E-Verify, that will go with the case, so that you're taking care of this right up front. I'll change this back. And here's the notes field I was telling you about down at the bottom here. And we'll put an employee number in there, just make something up. I will copy that. We'll search for that later. And then an electronic certification of best of my ability, all of the information above is correct. Now, if I would hit no cancel, that would just cancel out the I-9 form, and you would not be charged. All the way up to that point, you can cancel the I-9 form. But when I hit yes, continue, it literally did send this information to E-Verify's test site. It pulled back a result. It gave us this case number that you see on the top. And in this case, since we did a U.S. passport, there are 3 documents that will pull back a photo: a U.S. passport, an I-766 card, and an I-551 card. When you get the photo, obviously in this case, this was a passport. The DHS, has this passport in their database. When we queried the DHS database, it said, hey, we have a photo. They sent it back to us, and we display it in the system. So simply, all you really need to do is match the photo that you see in front of you with the photo in the ID. Not against the person, the photo in the ID, and it says that right here. So if we would say no, of course, that would bring up what's called tentative non-confirmation, and we need to actually send a copy of the photo to DHS. And we have the addresses and everything in there for that. But if we say yes, that it did match, it processes it again. So it sent it to E-Verify, says, okay, everything's good. Let's close the case out. E-Verify came back and says, okay, here's an employment authorized. So we have an employment authorized. The only thing left to do is we must close the case. E-Verify requires us to send a closure to the case. And simply, we're asking, is the employee still employed? If we say no, you'll see that we put a termination date in and the reasons why we're closing out the case like this. They quit or it's terminated. If we say yes, our options are the employee still works for us, or the case is invalid because I realize there's another case like this in there. And remember, we already sent the information to E-Verify. we have a case number, so we would want to close out the case as invalid at that point. Or it could be invalid just because I realized at this point that I entered the data incorrectly. So either way, if you select no or you select yes, you can close out the case. I select the reason, hit submit, and this case is finished. It takes me back to the dashboard because the case is finished. However, over here on the right, remember I copied that employee number, so let's paste it in, hit search. There's Elaine, select her name. And then in the summary screen, there's a lot of information for you. You know, we specifically only show some parts of information, such as the social, not the full social or date of birth. So we mask some of the personally identifiable information on purpose, because the only way you can see that now is to go over here on the right and click Form I-9, which means that the system's actually going to produce a PDF of the Form I-9 that we just completed. So when we do that, though, obviously we're able to see all the personally identifiable information for this person. So, and click the button. So we will track that in the system. There's an audit log at the bottom that we'll show you here in a second, and we'll track it in the system that somebody looked at that form. I'm sorry, mine shows up on the other screen. I have to pull it over. Because now we're able to see the full Social Security number. We're able to see Elaine's address. You know, so we want to track who has looked at this information. But here's the I-9 form we just completed, including the electronic signatures that we just completed, the documentation, start date, employer's information, I should say. And then we always add on the case summary, attach it to the PDF. A couple reasons. It's just kind of nice that you have this information here. The second reason is if you're audited, one way you could be audited is ICE has been training State Patrol, local officers, sheriffs to be able to audit I-9 forms. So you may receive a subpoena for a single I-9 form. Well, since we've been doing this so long, back in 2007 when you know, Arizona was the only one doing this, we realized that it was very helpful to add this case summary because it has all of your E-Verify information for this case, and it just made it much simpler for the employer. So that's why we include that. Okay. So I'll close this out and this. And I'll go up here and refresh my screen because I want to show you down here at the bottom the form audit log. So when I first went in and completed the form, it tracks that, you know, the action I took, when I took it, who completed the action. Then I went back in 3 minutes later and I printed this form, so we track that. So this is a very important. All systems, any system that you would use, even if you build your own electronic system, must have this audit log. This is a requirement, and this is you can be severely fined for not having this audit log and tracking who is making changes to the I-9 form. So if someone re-verifies or terminates here, we track it. You know, so that's very, very important. So the rest of the information you have here is, of course, we went over the employee information, location. Now, if you have several locations and somebody, Elaine, moves to a different location, I can simply click this button and move her I-9 to match that location, which is very convenient. Have the Form I-9 information, E-Verify information, and this, of course, stays active with whatever status the case is in. If I do any re-verifications, it will be listed here. I can attach documents here, and we encourage that. We do not charge anything extra for that. So we want you to put copies of the documents in, or if you do that, or there may just be other things that you need to put in there. If you audit everybody in your system, you may want to attach a letter, maybe even a letter from your attorney. If something happened for the 3-day rule, maybe it wasn't your fault. The employee, you hired the employee and they went into the hospital and they couldn't get in within 3 days. You know, you could have them sign a letter, put it in here, upload this. So there's a lot of things that you can upload here. There's no limitations because, you know, obviously a passport's a list A item, but I can say other if it's something else and actually type in a description. So it's pretty flexible there. We'll upload it. It will confirm that it has been uploaded. And I'll return to the summary, and you'll see down here that was uploaded. Okay, and I can actually print that form too, so you can take a look at it. I just uploaded a sample passport, but you get the idea. We can terminate employees over in the system a couple ways. You know, obviously a simple way is to click terminate employee, type in the termination date. We will monitor that I-9, and when it's past the retention periods, because we have the start date and the termination date, we can calculate how long we need to keep it. Once it's past the retention period, we will purge that I-9, so it would no longer be available for an audit. And also in the administration tab here, you can actually do a bulk termination upload up on the right-hand side here. And that simply is, you know, you download a template, which is a spreadsheet. You complete it with all your information, and you dump it into the system. You upload it into the system. Now, it sort of looks like this. I have a test one here that I put good information in I know would go, and then I put some that I knew would not go because I wanted you to see, you know, we let you know what happened to all of those forms or all of those dates you tried to upload. Obviously, it's easy to know that this one went in. However, these other ones will tell you why they didn't go in. So, you know, some of the samples I have is the termination date already exists, so we don't override it. It might be in the incorrect status. So, you know, this might be in a tentative non-confirmation status and the case needs to be closed. It's going to let you know that. Or just the record doesn't exist. I typed something wrong, so we couldn't find that record. So we let you know. And this is actually exportable also to a CSV. Let's see. How am I doing on time? Pretty good on time. So let me quickly go over reports, and then yeah, I want to allow time for questions. So Meredith can come on at the end, and we can go over those questions. But real quick, reporting. You know, if you have multiple locations, that in your company administrator, the dashboard could get kind of overwhelming because there's a lot. It could be a lot out there. So we do have a report called pending case summary that we take those and we group them by location, and then we group them by the scenario. So SSA referrals, DHS referrals, so on and so forth. And we put in links that you can simply go review the case, maybe re-verify the case from here. You can close the case from here, terminate from here, depending on where the case is, what kind of status the case is residing in. So that's nice. So it kind of breaks it down. Then we have, pardon me, we have a user report. That simply just shows us, you know, what users are in the system and what location they're associated to. And so it's a nice snapshot. And, you know, the rest of these reports, not only do you see this HTML like this, but you can also export these to a CSV file, which, you know, an IT department would use CSV, but, you know, like for me, when I open that up, that opens up in a spreadsheet, so I can manipulate the data, sort it, things like that, be able to see different information however I want to. The next report is called a company usage report, and this basically can put a date range in here, and we're going to give you a brief synopsis of within that date range the forms that were completed, you know, what status they're in. So this is a good snapshot. You can do it by location. Oh, all of these boxes too, you can search by location, so you can select a single location. You can hold shift and select multiple locations in a row. You can select control and just select multiple locations that you want to report on. And then once you search that and have this HTML report down here, you can export it to CSV if you want. The last one I like to call the Mac Daddy report. That's just because, these are all active forms within the system. Depending on your login, depending on how you select your location. So I could select one location, it's going to be all active forms for that location. But right now I have all locations, and as you can see, this is a huge report. This is all data for the I-9 form, each I-9 form. So even re-verifications, notes, everything's in here. And all of the forms are in here. So nice thing about that is, that's a good backup of your data. That's good. That's a very good report to pull out if you're in the IT department. It's even good to have as a spreadsheet, so you can kind of search, your results maybe, like resolutions, group them or search them, sort them, I should say, so that you can see if there are any invalid queries, things like that that you need to catch up on. Now, obviously, those would show on the dashboard, but it can be used for many different things. In the Help tab, it's very simple. We give you the posters that are required in the M274, which is a handbook for employers that talks about not only the I-9 form, but E-Verify 2 and how you should complete them. So if you have questions about documentation, things like that, that's there. And on the dashboard, we also have links to USCIS. And these are general links for resource information if you just want to go over there and browse, things like that. All right. Meredith, I think I've covered everything, unless you can think of anything else I need to cover, or we can do questions. What would you like to do next?
No, Terry, that was great. Thank you. We'll go ahead, I guess, and move on to the questions.
Okay.
I'll also just put my contact information up here if anyone needs to contact me for any reason. If you have additional questions, maybe if you think of a question later on today, you can either email me or call me. Of course, if you want additional information on the product, you can, again, call or email me. But we do have some questions already up here. And again, if you want to ask a question, you just type it in the questions box there in your dashboard and then hit send, and we'll get it over here. So let's see. The first question is, are there any penalties for entering the I-9 verification after the 3-day requirement?
Well, there can be. I tell everybody this. With our system, we've been through about 20 different audits. And the audits kind of go like an IRS audit. That's the best way I can describe it. That they start looking overall in general, how's things going. If they come across something that they don't like, they start digging in. The 3-day rule, before us alerting you, I think it was a much bigger deal. At least now you're able to say, what's going on. And there are legitimate reasons. So it all depends on what's happening. Obviously, if every form is past 3 days and there's no legitimate reason for that, yes, that would be a problem.
Okay. And let's see, the next one. Is there a way to go back if we terminated an employee in error?
We can take a termination date out, assuming that would be rare. Actually, it is pretty rare, but yes, we can take that out. Now, if it's anytime. So yes, we could take that out.
Okay. If we purchase this product, would Edge be our designated agent?
Yes. Actually, designated agent's a loose term because anybody could be a designated agent. I mean, you could go to I could go to E-Verify and say, I want to be a designated agent, and start calling up companies and say, I'll do I-9s for you, and actually do everything by fax. But we are what's called a web service agent, and that means that we've built software that directly interacts with Social Security Administration, Department of Homeland Security, so we can query those databases. That's much more in depth. And that means that when we change our system, and the upgrade to versions, they actually test our system to make sure that we're pulling back the correct data. So the short answer is yes, and the long answer is we're a web service agent.
Okay, next question is it mandatory to go with paperless I-9 forms?
Is it mandatory? No, absolutely not. You can continue completing I-9 forms by paper. The advantage of the paperless, either completing the I-9 form digitally on the system or scanning and uploading the I-9s into the system, even if you're doing them by paper, is access. So if you're audited, you have 72 hours to get to those forms, no matter where they are in the country. You got to get to them in 72 hours, and accompanying documentation and the audit log. And of course, another advantage of digital is we alert you when work authorizations are expiring, and we send the information to E-Verify. So, but it is not mandatory.
Okay, thanks, Terry. That's all the questions that came up. Again, if anyone has a thought later on today or thinks of something, you can go ahead and email me or call me. And I guess we can give another second here. Oh, a question just came up on the price of the software. Diane, I see your question. If you want to go ahead, you can email me, and I'll help you with pricing. And my email's there on the screen, and you can also feel free to call me at any time. I don't see any other questions coming in, so I will go ahead and just say thanks to everyone again for taking time out of your day to join us. We appreciate it. And again, if you have any additional questions or need any help with any of the product, getting it started or pricing, all that good stuff, again, you can just feel free to contact me. Thanks again, Terry, for taking your time as well to do the webinar today.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.